Freaky Friday. How are we doing, everybody? It's your man and the host of this hour, Sammy, the man McIntyre. We are back with Moving the Chains podcast. Hope we're rocking, hope we're rolling. Hope everybody had a wonderful, fantastic Christmas. I know I did. It was laid back. It was vibes. It was chilling. But I had to get some things. I saw some things yesterday in the games I just got to talk about. So we had 3 games yesterday. It was all rivalry games. It was Commanders, Cowboys, Lions, Vikings, and it was Broncos, Chiefs. So I want to touch on all 3 games today. And then I was thinking Sunday, I just got the news that Kyle Whittingham got the Michigan head coaching job. I was going to talk about Bill Belichick. I want to touch on that Sunday. But man, Michigan got their guy. I'm happy for you, Kyle Whittingham. You got out of Utah, winning program, put guys in the NFL. Now you go to a blue blood. We're going to get more eyeballs on you. Not to say Utah didn't, but you get a lot more eyeballs on you at Michigan than you did Utah. So I want to start with the games yesterday. So as I predicted, Cowboys win 30-20. Didn't think that was going to happen, but rivalry games, you know, I know Skip Bayless, he's the biggest Cowboy fan I know. He's like, 40-3. Hey, newsflash, these rivalry games matter, okay? Go watch Deebo Samuel trucking over Donovan Wilson, the safety for the Cowboys. These games matter. Yeah, records, throw those out the window. It's rivalry week, okay? Bears-Packers means something. So yesterday I'm watching it, and early on I looked at Dak Prescott, I'm like, is that Tim Tebow? He couldn't hit the side of a boat if he wanted to. And then it kind of got going. And then they got the run game going, which I haven't seen from Dallas in a long time. Ever since Zeke, near the end of, middle of Zeke's run, not the end. And then I kept watching it, and I kind of took a nap and, blah, blah, blah. And I woke up, and it was 30-20. And then went back today, and I watched the rest of the highlights from all the games today. And my takeaway from Dallas is this is a wasted year. And because you had 2,000-yard receivers, you had a 1,000-yard running back, you had Dak putting up really good numbers. And what's it got to show for it? Nothing. And there's one guy to blame for that, and that's Jerry Jones, who takes the brunt of the blame. And I will say this, Brian Schottenheimer, he has wowed me. I have been more impressed. He's had a tragedy he's had to deal with. He had to deal with Jerry and his nonsense. And every time I look up at the Cowboys, they're clicking on all cylinders on offense. Now, their defense is sieve, and it sucks. And more of that, I think, has to do with Matt Eberflus. Matt Eber dumbass, because he can't. They're just so out of position all the time. So many chunk plays. I still laughed that the Raiders couldn't even get 20 plays out of that. That were chunks. But that's more to go with Chip Kelly, besides the point. So, I think with Dallas, here's the good news with Dallas. You have 2 first-round picks from the Micah trade, which, we don't wish upon injury, but it looks pretty good now because he got hurt, right, for Dallas. And so I look up and I go, okay, so Dallas got 2 first-round picks. It's a really good edge rusher draft, a really good corner draft because they need both. I like Ezraku from Boston College. I liked him last year. Kind of popped occasionally, but not really. Get edge rusher, get corner, and just beef up this defense. I would spend this whole draft on defense. Now, I wouldn't say go all picks, but most of your picks go on defense. Because this offense, listen, I have my issue with George Pickens. I've said that before. And CeeDee Lamb's going to bounce back. He's okay. Still at 1,000 yards. I was thinking about this yesterday. He's had drops, okay? It's a weird year for him. I think a lot of it was they got Pickens. A lot of it's, covered 2 guys on CeeDee Lamb, makes more one-on-one coverage, more one-on-one positions for George Pickens to eat and make plays. That has something to do with it. But having said that, Dallas wasted this year because this offense was clicking. They were the number 2 offense in football, I believe, and it just, they ran out of gas, and they just had no margin for error. They had to score, and if they fucked up, they lose. And a couple times more often than not with Dallas this year, their offense kind of couldn't pick up the defensive slack when the defense just couldn't pick up any slack at all. So, it's a disappointing year for Dallas, but I will say this, moving forward, I trust them. Philly and them probably are in that 1-2 spot going into the summer. Washington, I'll touch on Washington in a second, but they got issues. And the Giants, that's just a mess. So, good news for Dallas is you can sit down, regroup. Brian Schottenheimer's a really good offensive coordinator. I think he really handled everything well in Dallas this first year. For all the crap he overcame, the death of the teammate, Just a lot. And the Micah Parsons trade right before we get going. So I thought Dallas had a disappointing year, but if you're a fan, I go, well, you had a pretty good year despite everything that happened. And on the flip side of it, I want to talk about the Redskins. Because Kevin Craner, and I know he's the biggest Redskin fan I know, and that was a sad year. Went into the season, my dad looked at me and goes, man, you thought you were going to be pretty good. I was like, yeah, I did. But then Jay Daniels gets hurt, and they're just an older football team, and it just kind of deteriorated. And I don't know if the league count on the Cliff Kingsbury's offense or whatever, but this team needs a reboot, reset. And Jaden Daniels needs to put on 15 pounds of muscle, homeboy. Better do it this offseason. Because that wear and tear is going to wear on you, bro. And it's just, that's my one knock on him coming out of college, out of that class, is he's just too skinny for me. And I said the quote, I think Howard had it, where it's, I want my quarterbacks like I like my furniture. Hard to move. And Jaden Daniels is not some big, stocky guy. He's a slender guy. And I hope he lasts in this league because he is fun to watch when he's on. And when they do the RPO stuff and they're slinging that pill down the field to McLaurin and getting that going, it's fun to watch. And defensively, they got a lot of work to do on that side of the ball. I know Dan Quinn took over play calling duties on that side, but it just didn't feel like a lot of stuff was misaligned this year. I saw too many big plays. I think they mentioned on the broadcast yesterday that one to Turpin, just literally right down the seam. Dak knew it was wide open. I think they ran some sort of concept where it was here and then just went that. I mean, he had it. He could have 7-on-7 that bitch, and it was down the middle. So, got a lot of work to do on the defensive side of the ball, but tough year for Washington. It was a year from hell. It was. And it's unfortunate because I really thought they'd go places this year with Jaden Daniels coming back, with the success they had last year. But, these kind of years happen. And when you're an older football team, it's hard to kind of rekindle that magic. And I feel like the Redskins had that kind of year. Now, going forward, having said that, I do think there's some momentum. You got a lot of draft capital, a lot of money. Hopefully Tunsil comes back healthy, ready to rock and roll, get some edge rush in the draft. If I'm them, I said this with, I don't know what team it was, I can't remember. I will go get that Cassius Vaughn dude, Howell from Texas A&M. Go get that freak show. Get that guy off the edge. Bend, speed to power, you name it. Get a Jared Verse. Get a Braden Fisk. Get some guy like that, because in that division, in the NFC, you got elite passers everywhere. Stafford, Jordan Love, Caleb Williams, Jared Goff. You got to get some heat on him. So I do think you got to worry about that in Washington on the defense side of the ball. Offensively, you got to worry about that, but I'm more worried about this defense. Because I saw at times this year, this offense was able to put points up, but this defense couldn't stop a nosebleed. So, moving forward, I think both these teams, disappointing seasons, but momentum going forward eventually in the future. So, the second game I want to touch on was Detroit Lions last night. They were one of my against the spread picks. 7.5 over Minnesota. The score was 24-17. It was should have been 23-7. The Lions last night, that was embarrassing. I like Dan Campbell a lot. I like Brad Holmes a lot. And Mike Kesnick, I know it's hard for you to stomach, brother, because I can't imagine. This was a hard year for the Lions. But I kind of knew it was going to happen this way. You lose Ben Johnson. You lose Aaron Glenn. You replace them with in-house guys. They tried replicating the same movie, but they put a bad director in the set. I think that's what happened with the Lions. Now, having said all that, they were still in this game last night with however many left. They had 5 turnovers. I watched kind of a similar game to this last year when they played the Texans down in Houston Sunday night, if anybody remembers that game. But the Lions came back and won. And I will say with Jared Goff, he is the Lions quarterback. They're good, okay? Jared Goff is fine. Stop. They still were second in the league in yards, second in points. They have explosive players. It is not all bad in Detroit, okay? Their offensive line, yeah, it was bad. It was terrible. Jared Goff's getting his bell rung. He's got no time back there. And he's a quarterback that needs protection, needs time to throw. He can't move. And I think losing Laporta hurt tremendously. And losing your offensive line hurt tremendously. But you lose that coordinator, man. I know Dan Campbell's culture guy, and he is. And he's built this thing, and I love it. But he's very reliant on a coordinator. And Nick Sirianni, similarly. Now, I would take Campbell over Sirianni. But, it's hard for me to kind of go, well, Lions, are they going to get back? This window's still open. To me, it is. You got your core in place. You got to figure out if Aleem McNeil is going to get back to that form of 2024. You have Hutchinson in place. You have some pieces. But you got to figure out what that coordinator is going to be. Because if you get the offense coordinator right, with this weaponry, with this talent, watch out. Because I've seen it this year with inconsistencies be number 2 in the league in football in big plays and stuff. Jared Goff can slice and dice you with the best of them. So not all is lost in Detroit. Okay? They have injuries galore. Something's going on up there in Detroit because they keep having guys hurt left and right. So got to fix that from a medical standpoint, what's going on. But I will say this. It's now doom and gloom. It was a shitty year for the Lions. Fell below expectations from what they were a year ago. I felt like, to me, when I watched them, they lost their grittiness. They lost their toughness. I feel like Ben Johnson sprinkled the fairy dust from Detroit, sprinkled it over Chicago, and they got it. But I don't think they're going to be down for long with that grittiness and toughness. They'll be back to it. I do believe they have enough talent on this football team to go far in the playoffs. I really do. And if I'm looking ahead to this division, it's still you and Green Bay. I'm being honest. Minnesota's got issues at quarterback. I'll touch on them in a second. And Chicago, can you sustain the success for a long time? Time will tell. You did it one year. Can you do it again? Because the 7 teams that make the playoffs this year don't make it the next. It's just how it's always been my entire life, watching the NFL. So you got to see how that plays out. But tough season for the Lions. Time to regroup. Time to check the mirror. Check the ego. And get back to work. Because you're going to be watching the playoffs from home. And I do not think it's all doom and gloom in Detroit. I still believe they're going to be a good football team next year. Very good. A lot of pieces coming back. Brian Branch, Kirby Joseph, Sam Laporta, your offensive line, Penei Sewell will get healthy. They're going to be okay. It's not all doom and gloom in Detroit. But losing Ben Johnson hurt tremendously. And on the Minnesota side of things, I feel bad for Minnesota fans because it's a really good defense. And Brian Flores, to me, watching that last night, that's why he's one of the best elite defense coordinators in football. When his scheme is humming and he's sending blitzers from everywhere, I said this last year, they send cover 0 at one point, pre-snap, and then post, they drop 8 back. They confuse the hell out of you. Brock Purdy, C.J. Stroud, elite quarterbacks in this league. We can debate on wherever those are at. But they both said the same thing after playing that game. They're like, where will these guys come from? It was from everywhere. And last night, they took advantage of a bad offensive line for the Lions, depleted, down their eighth guard or some shit. I can't remember the name. But that was bad last night for Detroit. But I will say this with Minnesota. You got a quarterback dilemma. Because this defense, if there was a playoffs, they could carry you. That defense is elite, man. I know they've had their struggles at times. But, man, I don't know what better coordinator Brian Flores. Him and Todd Bowles or Steve Spagnuolo, Vic Fangio on that short list. And I believe Brian Flores should get another gig. I really do. I think he's learned his lesson. I know it didn't work well in Miami. But I think he deserves another chance. Now, it'd suck if he leaves Minnesota. Leaves him a big void. Because I like Minnesota's coaching staff a lot. I like Kevin O'Connell. I like Brian Flores. I think Josh McCown, the quarterback coach, done a really good job developing those guys. But I got to be honest, when I watch Minnesota, you got a quarterback problem. Is JJ it? I'm rooting for the kid. He went to my cousin Matt Schiffler and the Schiffler family's high school. Pulling for the kid. I'm pulling. Chicago guy. But it hasn't looked pretty, man. It has not. And he's kind of struggled. Now, some of that, the offensive line, some of that, I don't know. I think some of it's mechanically. I think he's shot. From what I watch, his base is so wide and so out that he's not going through with his throws. Body's all weird. And I think that's fixable. in the offseason. I think he'll get back to that. He's got a lot of talent. He's got some stuff to him I like. But he's got to stop doing the 9 thing. That's weird, bro. You're not 9. You're not him, okay? So I do think you got to get back to that. You got to stay healthy. That's the first thing J.J. McCarthy's got to do. Stay healthy. And you got to get this ball to J.J. Get the ball to Justin Jefferson. He's best receiver in football. Because if you don't, he's going to be like Stephon Diggs, get the fuck out of there, saying bye-bye, adios, Godspeed. I'm going somewhere we're a winner. Not saying Minnesota hasn't won when he's been there, but it hasn't been the kind of success that I think he envisioned. Kind of reminds me of Minnesota with Randy Moss early on. Viking fans remember this. A lot of individual success, not a lot of team success. Now, Minnesota, I believe, went more times to the playoffs with Moss than Jefferson did. But it's kind of got that feel. So you better get him a quarterback fast. Now, Minnesota, what are they going to do offseason? I don't know. I still like their team a lot. I like Kevin O'Connell, as I just mentioned. I like Brian Flores. But this GM, you got to hit on these draft picks, man. It's been kind of hit and miss for me, unlike Spielman, who really hit on a lot of picks. Justin Jefferson, Harrison Smith. I can go on and on. Stephon Diggs, 5th round. Chad Greenway. Dudes, man. So I think they're good, but they got a lot of question marks. And moving forward in the NFC North, you got to have a quarterback. Because Detroit's got one, Green Bay has one, and Chicago has one. Still low unsure, but with Caleb, nail tech. But be that as it may. But I think they found their guy. So Minnesota, if you get your guy, then you can compete in this division. Because I saw it 2 years ago. Saw it just last year. You were kicking everybody's ass. 14 wins. 60 minutes away from number 1 seed in the NFC. So, something's got to give. So, I don't know. Moving forward with both these franchises, they're going to be okay. I trust Detroit just a smidge more than Minnesota just because of the stability at quarterback with Jared Goff. Unlike the Vikings, where I like a lot of things, just unsure about the stability of J.J. McCarthy at the quarterback position. And last game but not least, Broncos playing the Chiefs. Playing the Chiefs last night. And it was a cool atmosphere last night. I've been to Arrowhead. I've said this multiple times. It was cool. Watching it on live TV. I've been in that stadium. Been in that moment. It's cool. And it's sad that they're leaving Kansas City. It's a shame. Whatever. It's these millionaire assholes that, whatever. Be that as it may. Having said all that, Denver's for real. I hate saying it. I know. Ooh, Sammy, they only won by a touchdown. I don't care. This isn't, ballet dancing. Damn it. This is not I, Tanya Harding. Okay? This is not style points. Who cares? Did you get the win? Good. You did? Cool. Bye. You got the win. They're 13-3 right now. What more do you want? Sean Payton drives me crazy. Yes. He's kind of an asshole. I kind of like that. I like being a villain. I like being Chucky. You want to play, motherfucker? You want to play? Because I do. And Bo Nix, yeah, I don't know. I think he's good enough to win. He's solid, man. I was wrong on him. I was like, eh. And then I watch him like, well, he's pretty damn good. 23-10 in 2 years? I mean, he's got Cortland Sutton, that's it. He's got a bunch of dudes. And he's balling. And the other thing I like about it is they're putting in a lot on this kid's plate. And he's not overwhelmed by it. They're not babysitting him. They're not Big Ben first rookie year with the Steelers, throw it 20 times. No, put the whole offense on me. Let's go. So, I'm impressed with Denver, man. Their defense, I mean, if Houston and Denver play in a playoff game, that's going to be slobber knocker football. That is going to be rock'em sock'em, down and dirty, just you name it. I'm here for it. Listen, I'm all for high flying and aerial assault attack offenses and blah, blah, blah. I like some old school slobber knocker football. I miss Bears Packers 2010. Niners Giants, just physical, bloody, gritty, just every yard matters. I'm for it. And watching Denver gave me a message for the Raiders. It's not that hard. You get the coach and the quarterback right, a lot goes a long way. So that, to me, really kind of alarmed me with the Raiders last night. Saying, okay, if you get the coach and quarterback right, it's not this hard in this league. So that was my take on Denver. They just outplayed them last night. And I know it was 2013. It didn't feel like it when I watched it today. When I went back and watched it, it felt like 30-3. I mean, they just thoroughly whipped that ass, belt to ass, got the chair out, stunner edition. It was easy. And Denver's going to be a threat for a while because Sean Payton's a really good coach. They have money now. They have good ownership. They've always had good ownership. I just watched that John Elway documentary, which, by the way, check that out if you guys get a chance. And, you know, the Bowen family and all that, they've always had great owners. And I do think Denver moving forward is in a good spot because Kansas City's going to have a rebuild, and I'll talk about them in a second. But Kansas City's got a lot of work to do. Denver is in good position. Now, could they win the whole thing? Time will tell right now. It's anybody's ball game. They get home field, they get a bye week, they could be rusty. I don't know. But time will tell. We'll see with Denver. But after watching last night, I was impressed. Really impressed with Denver. Their defense is nasty. It reminds me of that 2015 Bronco team. They got dudes on every level of their defense. Secondary, linebackers, defensive line. It's insane. So, good for Denver. They're in the playoffs. My brother's happy. I'm not. I don't give a shit about Denver. But I guess I'll just ride Broncos country. Let's ride. Even though I shouldn't say that, and it pains me saying that. God, I hate saying it. But, gotta give credit where credit's due. So, on the Kansas City side of things, last night, Chase Mathis, my Chiefs fandom, it was a hard year this year. But not all is lost. You still got Andy Reid. Pat Mahomes is still there. The Veach family. Brett Veach, GM. Hunt family. You're all set. You got a good stability of culture there. I'm not worried about that at all. My worry is what you're going to do with this roster. You got a lot of guys. It's an older team. Travis Kelce, I'm guessing, probably rides off in the sunset. He's done. Got to get a tight end. Retool this offensive line. Retool this defensive line. Get better at receiver. This is a good year because now they're in the middle of the first round. They're not picking at the end, where a lot of the great players are usually in those 1 to 20 range in draft, right? So this is a good year for the Chiefs. So not all is lost in Kansas City. You're going to be okay. You got Andy Reid. You got Patrick Mahomes. I'm not losing sleep over it. So don't take this season as sky's falling. You're going to be okay. Just like the Lions, you're going to be in good shape. So that's all I got for you guys tonight. Freaky Friday edition. We got some NFL games tomorrow night. I'll touch on those Sunday. Some college stuff I want to touch on. Hope you guys are doing well. Have a great night. Adios. Godspeed.